Hey everybody, failed entrepreneur back again in the basement, and want to do a video today on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency during this whole Corona pandemic, right? So if you've ever seen any of if you're one of those two people who watch my other videos from a while back, I think I had one or two talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And just spoiler alert, I'm a believer in crypto and Bitcoin, and I had a couple of videos talking about kind of how Bitcoin kind of works and why I think it's a good investment and why it's something worth looking into, and I think it has a bright future ahead of it. Well, one of the big predictions that people have always had around Bitcoin is it's digital gold, right? It's a store of value. It's something that you want to have. It's an asset. It's a digital asset that can hold value. And a big belief in the crypto world was that Bitcoin and the stock market were kind of um, tied together, right? So when the stock market is good, right? If the stock market is giving good returns, right, that's going to suppress Bitcoin and hold it down. But if the stock market ever turns sour, then that will be good for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was kind of seen as this safe haven alternative to investments, right? It was a place you could store your money, and besides having all the benefits of Bitcoin, it's untraceable. It's resistant to inflation, which we'll get to back to that in a minute. It's store of value, digital gold, all that. That the belief kind of was when the next recession hits, because we're obviously long overdue. When the stock market stopped having record days and started to reverse and go in the other direction, that we would see the price of Bitcoin go up as people would jump ship and put more of their portfolios into the crypto world. And there was a couple times that in the past, like year or two, that when the stock market did do poorly, you did see Bitcoin kind of get a bump in value. But Bitcoin has had a rocky time as of late. I think it peaked at almost $20,000 of Bitcoin, maybe like 2 years ago. Since then, it's crashed a little bit, and since Corona, it's crashed quite hard. So before the Corona pandemic hit, Bitcoin was trading about probably between $8,000 and $9,000 for one Bitcoin. When the pandemic really hit the United States hard, you saw Bitcoin crashing to about 4,000, almost half the value gone. Since then, as of today, as I record, Bitcoin is currently just above 6,071 dollars, and it's traced back down. It was about 6,500 just a day or two ago, so it's going back down. So what we're seeing is a decoupling, is what they call it, I think, a dissociation from the stock market theory, and then I guess when the stock market does bad, so does cryptocurrency, I guess. And this flies kind of in the face of what a lot of crypto experts expected to see. I'm no expert, but that was a big belief of mine, is that eventually when the stock market has its correction, you will see Bitcoin go up. So get into your Bitcoin now, and protect yourself from when that happens. But that's not happening. And it's kind of a head scratcher, or maybe a wake up call, or maybe a "I told you so" to some of the naysayers. So why is Bitcoin not getting that stock market bump that we thought it would? A couple reasons. I've looked at it a little bit. I've done some reading, not a lot, but I mean, Bitcoin is still very, very risky. It's still very, very new, right? And since these are such uncertain, turbulent, scary times, it makes sense. Do you really want to go and put your life savings or something into Bitcoin, which has a really bad reputation, which is very, very swingy? Obviously not. That's not a safe play, and so we're not seeing people do that. There's a lot of other cryptocurrencies out there as well, so everything is kind of what they call them, shit coins and altcoins, right? But that kind of waters down crypto in general. But Bitcoin is kind of like the flagship. Where Bitcoin goes, everything else goes. But it's just people right now would rather have cash, right? Cash is king in crises like this, and that's what we're definitely seeing. Bitcoin is not cash as much as people like to say it is, and people are staying away from it. So I don't have any Bitcoin now. I used to have some. It wasn't a lot, not at all, but I did sell it in the fall, so I'm glad I did. Well, I have a little crypto. I might do another video on what I'm currently holding now, but it's not. They're small bags. That's what I'm trying to say, right? But it's just been kind of surprising that what a lot of people thought Bitcoin was supposed to do, it is not doing. So I guess that myth is busted, right? What's bad for the stock market is not good for cryptocurrency, but I still think that crypto is definitely worth looking into for a few reasons. Two big reasons that stand out to me right now. Number one, the federal government, Trump they are just shoveling money into the economy right now to try and prop it up. I mean, obviously, if people can't work, if we're really getting to what they're predicting, I think 30% unemployment. Great Depression, the height there was around like 25%, right? And it took a while, a year or two to get to that point. And here we're going in like 30 days. Again, this is the economic equivalent of a head-on car crash is what we're heading into. And so they're just throwing money out there. The Trump bucks, the stimulus checks everyone's getting, right? The government is just printing money right now to try and keep this economy propped up to get through this crisis. So, I mean, right now it's probably the only thing they can do, right? Kind of a necessary evil. But that's going to accelerate inflation. And like it or not, right, your money is going to be worth, hopefully not a lot, but it will be worth, I think, significantly less in the future than it is now, because they are just shoving so much money. It's like a record stimulus bill they just passed, right? So there's a lot of money going to get flooded into the economy right now. That's really going to devalue it a bit. And so that is good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is immune to inflation, right? The way the Bitcoin was coded, there can only be, and excuse me, I'm like rusty. It's in the morning. I'm still drinking my coffee. I think it's don't kill me if I'm wrong, but it's like 250 million Bitcoins, I think, or something around that number is the max that there could ever be. And once those Bitcoins are out in the system, you can't make any more, right? So Bitcoin has a hard cap on inflation. That's one of the strengths of Bitcoin. So as we see the dollar bill start to go down in value, I think, I don't know if it's going to save it, but Bitcoin is going to hold value a lot better, I think, than your regular investments, right? Because there's only so much out there. And the way that Bitcoin is mined, go look at find that other Bitcoin video I did, or someone else's Bitcoin video. We're not going to get the last Bitcoin out into the economy for like another 100 or 150 years. Because of the second big thing is that Bitcoin every 4 years has what they call halving day. So Bitcoin is mined from a computer. You run a program, you crunch numbers. When you solve this equation, it spits Bitcoin into the economy. It's called digital mining. It's a little complicated, but that's how it works. But every 4 years, a halving day comes around when the computers, the miners, solve the equation. You get half the amount of Bitcoin that you used to before. Again, that's to try and limit inflation so you just don't flood the market with Bitcoin. So there's safety valves built into it, right? You can only have so much. You can't make any more Bitcoin after like the 250 million. And every 4 years, the number of Bitcoins that gets put into the economy is cut in half. Well, guess what? The next halving day is coming in May, about a month or two away. And I think right now, when you solve the equation, I think miners get 25 Bitcoin gets put into their accounts. But after May, it's going to be like 12 and a half or something like that. And so that's going to, again, put some constraints on the number of Bitcoin that are out there. They're going to become more rare. They're going to become more scarce. And they're only going to become rarer and scarcer as we go forward, because every 4 years, you're just going to get half and half and half of what you used to before. So simple supply and demand, right? You got to ask yourself a question. Are people going to be using more or less Bitcoin in the future than they are today, right? If you think they're going to be using less than now, March 29th, 2020, okay? If in 5 years people are using less Bitcoin than they are now, then Bitcoin obviously is going to be worth less. So stay away from it, go away. If you think that in 5 years, Bitcoin will be more accepted, people will be using more of it, as they hear about it, learn about it, especially right now, social distancing, any ways we have to transfer value without actually interacting with people is probably a good thing, which is what Bitcoin excels at. If there's more people using it than now, because that supply is locked, you can't just print more Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to go up in value. And every halving day in the past, you've always seen the price of Bitcoin jump quite a bit because it's just becoming a more rare asset. And I think that's what a lot of crypto experts and fortune tellers kind of rely on, because they know that's baked into the system and you just can't change that. So I still think long term, Bitcoin is something to look at least. Again, don't put your life savings in it. Don't bet the farm on it. But it is pretty cheap, right? Compared to where it's been. If you just look at the long term, $6,000 like it is right now. Who knows where it's going, but I doubt it's going to stay at 6,000 forever, right? So it's definitely worth looking into. And again, I'm still a believer in Bitcoin, even though that it's in the doldrums right now, and it's everything is just a mess. But I think in the future, when things get sorted out, as we go more digital, as we go more online, Bitcoin was made for this. With all the inflation we're seeing right now, that will help Bitcoin long term. It's immune to it, and so I still think Bitcoin is worth a look. Don't take my word for it. I'm just some guy on the computer. But there's other resources out there. But again, like I said, I think its best days are still ahead of it. And these are trying times for everything. Everything is depressed right now. But I think Bitcoin will come out of it okay. It's just kind of a matter of when, but not if. I think it will be okay. So it's on sale right now. There you go, right? It's a good time to get in there if you wanted to. All right, that's it for today, and good to be back making these videos. Hopefully I can keep that habit going, but I got a lot of time now like everybody else. So anyway, catch you later. I got things to do. You do too. All right, bye.